I am here to show you the wonder and glory that is Stadium Comics. We're here with good friends of Stadium Comics, Fearless Fred Kennedy, and Adam Gorham, the writer and illustrator of Teuton. So, Adam was telling me that the beginning of Teuton is being reworked to include some of the things that are changing or that are coming up in the future. Can you talk about that?
Well, yeah, because when we started writing it, I think our initial idea was to have just like a 2-issue run, wasn't it? Just like a 2-issue story, we were thinking.
It was very small scale when we started out, and then it grew because we became amazing.
And we found ourselves at a point where we were kind of almost limited with what we could do long term by what we'd established. So before we printed the trade, we kind of tweaked a lot of dialogue to leave it open. But we realized that, we printed out the trade and we gave it out to people, and the feedback we were getting is it seems like there's a massive shift in the way that you guys are telling your story. So we figured we'd go back to the first 15 pages over again. We got ourselves hopped up on Coke Zero, and we had a marathon writing session at the Comic-Con a few months ago, and we wrote the first 15 pages again. So yeah, when we reprint issue 1, we're gonna have new 15 pages. And I don't know, I think that when we got down and we really established what we were doing, we kept it really tight, but left it really open so it really pushes the story forward better.
Nice. And are you going to be editing your art, doing whole new artwork for that?
Yeah, I'm actually drawing whole new pages for the re-edited first issue. And I'm really excited about it just because I go back and the pages I drew before, I drew them in a very intentional way because there was something I wanted to convey, but what I found going back was that it lacked the emotional core of what I later discovered existed in these characters. And there are just really great themes that I want to play up going back to there because, on the surface it's just an action-packed sword and sorcery adventure, but there's really terrific themes with Andrus, our protagonist, who has, he's dealing with things that may be considered ahead of his time for a guy in that era, where he sees that his orders become hypocritical because, they're not out for, religious purity, which, is kind of a bad thing anyway. But, they were out to just pillage and get gold, and these are great things that I want to tell that my art just didn't do service of in the first issue. There's like leaps and bounds. So I'm really excited to kind of go back in time with the magic eraser and, tell the story better.
Right.
Before we get off that, one thing that we really found together was that we started the story off, Shakespeare's idea is that you start it with a bang, big battle. We had this big battle at the beginning, but you didn't know the characters. So we have this battle and there's no emotional involvement with any of the characters because you don't know who they are and you don't really care. So we took the first few pages and we really gave emotional strings to everybody, and then the battle means a lot more. So yeah, I should say that.
Sweet. So what's going on with Teuton number 2? When can we see that?
Well, you can see a lot of it online at bigsexycomics.com right now. We're actually doing our website over. We're getting a professional company to come in and make a website for us, so it's going to look a lot better, and they're going to incorporate Adam's art into the site itself. And the comic is going to be about the same size. We've got a little prologue with, because it was inspired by a folktale, a Lithuanian folktale. And so we've got Agnes Grabowska going, and she's redoing like the little folktale for us in her little mini style. So we're going to have this trade with the actual folktale done by her, and I think it's going to look really good. And the story itself, like, if you read it, you get to this, like, it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. Like, you think you've got this big climactic fight, but then, like, as soon as it's done, it takes off. And we've really got some cool characters, and Adam's character design, I'll just say this, I'm very lucky to work with Adam. I'll leave it at that. His art's fantastic, and he gets it, and it's, I don't know, I feel incredibly lucky to be able to have a guy that I work with who does what he does.
How about you, Adam?
Am I to reciprocate here?
Do you enjoy working with yourself?
Do I enjoy working with myself? Yes, I do, very much so. I enjoy working with Fred just as much, though. Fred's super cool. It's funny because, you know, there's this impression of Fred as like an entertainer working in entertainment, as him just being a talking head without much in the head. And this is true, and this actually gets my goat sometimes when people sell him short, because Fred he's just incredibly sharp. He has great stories that he wants to tell, and I feel incredibly privileged that I get to help him shape the stories. So, you know, most of our writing sessions are just spent, you know, tugging each other, because verbally. But, you know, so we're both smitten with each other, and I think that helps a great deal.
Well, stay here after hours for the tug session.
Isn't that what those Wednesday night videos are all about? Like, that's what it is, right?
Pretty much. Well, thank you guys for coming down to our store, man.
Thank you.